Alrighty, y'all, what's up? We got the next installment in the bodybuilding final answer series. We're going to be talking about the chest and building the pecs today. Now, there are a few things that you'll notice that are kind of similar to back training in terms of just how to bias different parts of the pec versus different parts of the back. It's the same line of thinking as your upper back, your rear delts, your lats. The orientation of your arm is going to dictate what part of your pec is worked primarily. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're down here, it's not also working your upper chest and your mid chest. It's just that when your arm is biased in, it's going to work more lower pec fibers. If your arm is converging with the middle pec fibers, it's going to work your middle pecs. And then obviously, if it's working your upper chest, your arm is converging with those upper fibers. But just in general, these two fibers, your upper chest and your lower chest, those get worked to bring your arm in towards like the center of your body. And then when you're trying to raise it anywhere close to overhead, that's when your upper chest fibers get worked. Now, you'll notice that first of all, that there's JoJo. You know, this is like a JoJo character and he's got the fucking Japanese letters. But anyway, you'll notice that there's an extended line. This is labeled arms, okay? So the way that your arms interact with building your chest in general, other than just the angle of them, is the length of them. So I talk about this all the time with building bench press for longer arm guys versus shorter arm guys. When you're at the bottommost position of a bench press, and this is specific to bench press specifically, that's why we talk about it before the other exercises. But when you have a longer arm, your pec gets more stretched, more lengthened at the bottom. That's why, you know, longer arm guys get a more potent bodybuilding effect and more fatigue out of just regular bench pressing. It's just something to talk about. Now, in terms of, what's one other thing that's like bench specific that we could talk about? Now, okay, the arch. In terms of your arch, the way that interacts with building your pec fibers is if you have a good arch and you have a good leg drive, you have a bridge that starts in your legs, goes up through your ass, into your lower back, that assists your pec fibers, okay? You know you're doing your leg drive right when you feel that bridge. It's like the same kind of bracing force you get when you're bracing correctly on a deadlift. You know, you'll feel when you're doing it, you'll feel when you're not doing it, you know what I mean? I'll have a video talking about how to set up for leg drive for most people, just because there's a couple different ways to coach it. Now, in terms of different things that you want to think about as well, other than just the bodybuilding portion of it, there's the punch muscles. We'll talk about that in a second, but something I really want to focus on is the ouch fibers. This is the part of the pec that attaches into your shoulder and into your bicep. If you're someone that gets bicep pain from bench pressing, or you get shoulder pain from bench pressing, this is always the area, and you can feel it yourself. This is the area that gets inflamed, that gets torn and things like that. You want to make sure that you're using proper form. So I have a video that I'm going to flip in here and edit to kind of show it to you, and I'll link down below, that shows you how to set up on bench press. Tons of people inbox me. They say, oh, well, coach, my arms or my shoulders hurt. And I'm like, okay, this is why. Or they'll say, oh, I've been having shoulder pain, or, oh, how does my form look? And it's always because they're overly retracted with their bench press, okay? You have to retract into the eccentric and protract in the concentric. Not completely, so don't completely let it converge because you'll lose all stability, but just let your scaps move. When you don't do that, this is where people say bench press destroys your shoulders. Bench press is dangerous. It's because they're neglecting these. Now, in terms of different exercises that you can use for just a fully lengthened, a fully shortened, or a blend of both, you have a lot of different options. I didn't delineate into incline or decline or whatever, because as I said, that is going to just be determined by where your arm converges with your body. So you feel it yourself, okay? So bring your arm in when your arm is down. Bring your arm in when your arm is mid. And then bring your arm in when your arm is higher. You'll feel the different fibers contracting One will be a little harder, the others will contract, but one is definitely getting biased over the other. That does matter for bodybuilding, not so much for performance, but for bodybuilding, and you're trying to build specific parts of your chest. That shit ain't galaxy brain shit. That's shit that you want to keep in mind. Now, if you're trying to build the chest from a fully lengthened position, any extended range of motion bench press, like a dumbbell bench, dumbbell bench is probably the most intuitive one for most of you, because you either have dumbbells in your home gym or your gym has dumbbells. It likely doesn't have a cambered bar, but if you do have a cambered bar, that's a really good variation to use as well. And then for guys that are really on the zero equipment spectrum in terms of you're in a home gym and you just have a bar and plates, deficit weighted push-ups are the way to go. Reason being is because it's extending, or it's allowing you to get that bigger stretch at the bottom. It's intuitive. More stretch equals more length. Now, for you longer arm guys, just a regular bench press, like for me, a regular bench press lets me go way below the parallel plane of the bench. So that in of itself is pretty good. I don't really need anything from here. Now, just something quick to talk about it. If you do have longer arms and you find that you can't do very much regular bench pressing, but you still need to build your pecs, this is where longer arm dudes say, oh, bench doesn't build my pecs. It's because you're not able to do enough of it and recover from it. Now, you can still isolate this with something like a fly. So a fly is a degree of loading much lower than a bench press, but it still allows you to get that targeted contraction in a lengthened and a shortened position. Stretch and squeeze with way less load, and you're getting the same stimulus. That's like a cheat code for you long arm guys. But moving on to shorten, this is kind of an area of bodybuilding for the chest that a lot of people think you need cables to target to get that full squeeze. Cables are beneficial for this, I'm not gonna lie to you, but you could also achieve the same thing with bands. One that I really like, it's similar to a bench press in that it's still a press. It's not a bodybuilder fly or nothing like that. So if you're opposed to doing something like that because you don't like the aesthetics of it, a press around where, and I'll flip an exercise video on the screen here, but you start with the cable back and then you press it horizontally across your body and squeeze your pec. That's gonna be really good for targeting that shortened position in whatever angle you have your arm at. But just in general, something that you can start doing, and you can try this yourself again. Go ahead, put your hands close together, and then bring your arms out and then press them in. You're gonna feel a good contraction on the diamond push-ups, a good shortened position. Something to keep in mind when you're working a shortened position with bench press. You wanna keep your arms flush to your rib cage. It's kind of like working your lats when you're doing a back exercise. You keep your arms flush to your rib cage. That allows your scaps to go in and around your rib cage, so to speak. You're just letting them move through their full range of motion. That works your punch muscle pretty good too, your serratus. I call it the punch muscle just because it's something that boxers typically have very well developed just from repetitive boxing. You know, when you throw a punch, you're utilizing this muscle, so it gets built in boxers. That's why I call it the punch muscle. But anyway, if you're looking for a blend of either of these things, so you're going out and in, any press where you're going out and in is going to be really good. So a really intuitive one is ring push-ups, ring dips, dumbbell bench again, full range of motion. And then something that's really slept on is a hammer strength chest press. It goes out and in. It's plate loaded. You can load it just as gradually as a bench press because it's plate loaded, and it'll give you not a full shortened position and not necessarily a fully lengthened one either, depending upon just the way the machine is constructed, but it'll give you a blend of both. And certainly if you're just doing regular barbell bench pressing, you're not getting any converging effect where your arm is coming in, because it's just not possible to do with a barbell. These are things to keep in mind when you're building your chest. It's pretty simple, guys. A lot of it involves bench press variations, but just then different things to make you more well-rounded. Damn, my camera died. Anyway, If you have any questions about the lecture or anything that you'd like me to go into more detail about, please let me know in the comments down below. Also, let me know if you're interested in that leg drive video. I've yelled at enough of y'all about using Larson press, and it might be helpful for you to know how to use leg drive so that you can get benefit out of it. So please let me know if you'd like to see that as well. I appreciate y'all. See y'all later. Peace.